So today we're going to do some maintenance on my Hakko FR300. I've started having a little issue where when I release the vacuum, release the switch, it sometimes spits a little bit of solder back out and occasionally lands on my hand and burns me, but I'm tired of little bits of solder being spit back out. And I'm assuming that's probably due to the diaphragm and valve assembly getting old. It's never been replaced. So I thought we'd just go ahead and tear the tool down. It of course comes with this tool. And this is used to replace the tip. But I might as well remove it. I don't think I need to remove that assembly. I'm going to release this. So that's the little housing that collects all the dead solder. Oh, cool. And let's just go ahead and knock that out, because we're going to replace parts of it. Let me get the little filter element out of the way. Well, it doesn't want to push out or pull out. So I've got some, I've replaced these little filters fairly often. And while I was on the Hakko site, so I went to Hakko USA, I believe it was, found a USA Hakko distributor, and ordered a bunch of parts. And so I got some fresh filters from them. I actually thought I'd ordered one of these replacements for this, and I actually got 5. So we're just going to replace that guy with a nice shiny new one. This tube was replaced fairly recently, and even though it's pretty nasty inside, yeah, maybe I should have ordered a replacement, but it gets really dirty inside. I may take it and wash it out a bit. But I don't see a reason. I didn't see a reason at the time to replace it. The original one had cracked finally. Let's go ahead and dispose of this mess. And look at the real reason we're here. And that is I bought replacement rubber for here and here. They both are pretty flexible still. I mean, that definitely feels like it's fine, but I'm going to go ahead and replace them. These have seen a lot of heat, and I just feel like there's no reason not to replace them. So let's go ahead and start to tear the tool down. There's a little thumb screw here that takes this cover off. I'm not sure if this is just a press fit. I have to say that I think 4 layers of bags at this point. This is the 4th layer, I believe, of bags to simply get to this part is extremely excessive. Hakko, rethink how you're managing this. There was the bag the part was in, there was the larger bag, there was a bag that said there was mixed parts, maybe it was 3 deep, but still just ridiculous. So it looks to me like this is probably just a pressure fit into there. Now let's go ahead and remove the hose assembly if we can. I've done this before. I should have ordered a replacement hose. This one's gotten a little bit messy. It's not too bad. It's got this little piece in here to keep it from kinking off as it's bent. I could have got a replacement hose. I didn't. Let's release this one as well. I'm going to cut both bags with one cut. Save myself a bit of time. Well, there it opened. Ridiculous amount of packaging. So I'll take the old one off. And I will hold on to the old parts. There's no reason not to. Actually, I could clean in there a little bit. So while we're at this point, I'm going to go ahead and do some cleaning in here. I don't know how much of this will actually clean out, but we'll see. There's no reason not to. If some of this, you can see what's coming out. So there is actually some stuff that can be cleaned off here. It's just, I would assume, kind of solder dust. And Looks like there is some heat. The blue plastic's turned somewhat brownish yellow in there, so I'm guessing that's just due to the heat, the heating elements very close there, and I'm guessing this little tube right here gets very warm. And it's, you know, it's the other end of the suction tube here. But, you know, why not clean in here while I can? Set that aside someplace. I'm just using a little bit of IPA here to clean. It's just kind of a nice little solvent and degreaser. And I guess there's no reason not to touch this up a bit while we're here. That's better. It's not perfect. It doesn't need to be, but it is better. So I'm going to put the new one of these on. Oh, it's definitely a tighter seal around the little metal tube. So this one came off pretty easily, which says to me it's just that rubber. Oh yeah, I can see it. So there's cracks. You probably can't see them, but maybe you can. There's cracks in the rubber on the backside here. So this has started to fail. It's not getting as tight a seal around the little heat tube that the solder sucked through. So yeah, that needed to be replaced. So yep. This one probably didn't. But I'm guessing just what it's doing there, it'll just pull out like it did. I'm going to clean down in there. There's little bits of solder and stuff back in there. I can see them. There's no reason not to clean that out. You can see little bits of what's coming out. It's got a lot of free alcohol sitting down in there from before. We'll just wipe it out. And the new one should just push in gently, and it pushed right in. Happy with that. I think that needed to happen as well. Set this out of the way. Yeah, it's stiffened up a bit. You know, I've had this tool for years. It's seen a lot of use. And it's never actually, you know, it's had the new filter elements put in, but that's been it. We have this part here. Where'd I put the scissors? I don't know how difficult it's going to be to replace the diaphragm, but I went ahead and ordered a diaphragm. And the part that I actually think is the issue, and this is probably going to be hard to see because it's clear, but this is the little two-way valve assembly. So it's got a flapper on both sides. I don't know if I've got something here I can lay it on that would make it kind of stand out. I don't know if that helps or not. It's got a little alignment notch. It's going to only go in one way, and it's got a little flapper on both sides. And one of them opens when it draws air. When it's drawing air up through the tool, one of those opens, and then when it goes to expel the air, that one closes, and the other one opens to vent the air out. So this is what I think my issue is it's never been replaced, and it's just gotten old. Last time I looked at it, I think it was discolored. Just from age and heat. You know, it's got hot air moving through there all the time. So we have in the past opened the top half here of the unit up. I don't remember what's a good screwdriver for this. That's not. That screw felt looser than I felt like it should have. I think I just need to remove the 4 of these. I haven't actually spun these all the way out. At least I don't think I have. And this one, hopefully I'm on camera somewhat here. Okay, that did release this. I'll set this aside. There's 2 screws in this, and that flapper valve is down inside of here. I'm calling it a flapper valve. I'm sure there's a much more technical name for it that's more accurate. Now I've opened this before. There it goes. So this can only go on one way, which is like that. There are 2 holes in here. One of them is an air inlet, and the other one is the exhaust. So it draws air in through this little tube, past the valve assembly that's sitting in there. Boy, that's just, it's got lots of, oh, it's full of flux inside. We'll clean all that out. Valve opens up, it draws air into a little tube here to create the suction, and then when the diaphragm comes up the other way, the valve for this side closes, and the little flapper valve for the hole here opens, and it vents the air out. And that's basically the way it draws. It moves air. So this is just, I can feel it's brittle. It's covered in flux. We've cleaned it before. You can see how yellowed it is. We'll set it aside, and then the inside of this is just full of flux that we're going to clean out as well. It really is just nasty down in there. So let's see. Hopefully the alcohol will knock the flux out. Yeah, you can see what's coming out on the Q-tip. And that flux alone would probably be enough to keep it from getting a good seal. It's like anything, tools require maintenance and new parts, and I've never done this before. I've just opened it up, cleaned it as best I could, and put it back together. A little bit more came out. Yeah, I suspect we're going to have a better operation here after this. So you probably can't see this too well. I don't know if you can or not. There's a little notch, a little pin right there that pokes up. And that is the pin that drops into, and you're not going to be able to see this, although maybe the camera's picking up. There's a little notch in this valve right here that lines up against that pin. So it only goes in one way. And that way is like that. So it can only sit in one way like that. We've cleaned this out. It looks pretty clean inside. This only goes back together one way, which is this way. If you try to put it together wrong, these screw holes don't line up. So go ahead and put the screws back in. There are brass inserts underneath these. Shoot, I don't like the way that moved. These just pretty much suddenly bottom, or not really bottom out, but they're driving into hard plastic. So that should be about as clean or as surface as we're going to get that. A little bit more alcohol. It's just kind of dirty inside of here. I don't see a reason not to get those little bits of flux out of there. Probably should have replaced this hose. I don't think I can get a cotton bud into there. did pull a lot out. I'm just trying to knock the flux or whatever's caught in here out. And you can see the color that came out. It's pretty nasty. Let me peel most of the cotton off this one. Wet it. And we'll do that again. Came out a lot cleaner. The hose actually looks cleaner. It doesn't look as yellowed, which is nice. Now that seems to work pretty well. I'm looking to make sure there's no little bits of cotton being caught and trapped down in there, and there's that actually looks a lot better. So we'll set that aside, and we'll come back to here. So it looks like the top of this unscrews. I don't think I've ever tore this part down. I don't think that screw's turning loose. Or is it? Yeah, that screw's coming loose. So it looks like we just back that little screw out. It's interesting how tight that was. Of course, it vibrates like mad. There may have been a little bit of Loctite or something down in there. I'm guessing that comes off. Looks like it's just a piece of stamped rubber. This has kind of got a shape to it, I think, just because it's been in here so long and it's used to also make a seal. Hopefully I can get it to just lift out. I can see that's going to be a laugh a minute to put back together. I've got it up on the high point of the... Yeah, it just looks like... I've got a smaller screwdriver here to make it a little easier to get that started. And this goes together like so, and gets started. I think that's caught. Sorry if I'm doing this off camera. There, it just pulled up tight. And then the diaphragm itself. So it looks to me like this ring here, on here, is what pushes down against that diaphragm to cause it to seal. And I'm not 100, well, I think it doesn't matter whether it's up or down. Looking at it, this goes on this way. Can't say I'm super happy with that, but it is what it is. It's not starting. Why isn't it? Or is it? It's just really long. Hopefully I haven't pinched that in there, that diaphragm. I don't think I have. Probably should have looked for a service manual to tell me how to do this. I didn't. Not over torquing these, but I am getting them firm. So really, hopefully the vacuum motor now works. I'm gonna pull the line cord over here and plug it in. Oh yeah, I can feel the air jetting out of there. I can demonstrate this, I think. If it was thinner, it would probably work better with a piece of paper. And if I well, that seems better. Turn it off here because it is getting hot. I don't want to burn myself. Get this hose back on. As I recall, it's easier to get the hose started and then I think add this in after than try to start the hose. Little back cover goes back on. You set it aside for now. Oh, what did I touch? Oh. Touched a piece of plastic and there was enough heat there, it caused it to smoke a little bit. So I'm going to scrub as much out of this tube as I can while we're here. The alcohol is certainly knocking stuff loose. It's really nasty in there. Wow, amazing how much clearer that's become with I almost think I could soak this a little bit. The Q-tip's doing an okay job at breaking it out. Wow. It's amazing how dirty that is. Well, it's not. But it is amazing how much better it's looking here. And just used a little bit of alcohol as a solvent. Boy, that cleaned out well. It cleaned up a lot better than I expected it to. So let's grab one of these. Nice new one. Didn't want two, I wanted one, but such is life. It just gets dropped down in there. And I've actually got some open filter elements in here, so I'm not gonna, well, I can get rid of the outer bag here. I think it's really wasteful with all this plastic packaging, really wasteful. I've normally just order these filter elements on Amazon. As you can see, I have plenty here, which is a good thing. Go ahead and put that in there for now. Get this back in the tool. Sounds normal. No, that's cut. This may have to heat up because it's got a big old blob of solder in there. I want to clean. So I need to let this heat up for a few minutes here. I guess there's some external cleaning we can do as well. Yeah, the outside's pretty grubby. Oh, it heats up here. Oh, I wonder what I've got all over it. Heatsink compound, maybe? Got to be careful here, it's getting hot. A little dab of paper towel. Yeah, whatever this little bits of black, it's kind of a dark gray black material that just kind of, I can see that it's come off my hands, but it is cleaning off, so probably shouldn't be using alcohol on it since it is flammable and there's active electronics inside. This may not be the smartest thing I've ever done. Guess if it catches fire here, you'll know why, and we'll have a more interesting video. So, gotta be careful of that tip. I can feel the heat radiating off of it. Heater's kicking on and off, so it's up to temp. With it up to temp, I should be able to. I don't know if you can see little bits of solder falling out of there. And I'm just going to just clean the inside of that little tube out. There's little bits of black powder coming out of it. That's the, well, I don't know what it is, dead flux or whatever that's accumulated inside of the little draw tube. Tip a minute to come up to temp. And we'll give it a little test here in a second. See if I can find something. To do some unsoldering on. I think the tip I've got on there may be not large enough for that spark gap. Sounds normal to me. It actually sounds to me a little stronger, but that may just be wishful thinking on my part. So I'll start with something simple, these two caps here. It is unsoldering, it's just that there's the plate through on that tantalum that's kept it from falling loose. Pads are awfully small. It seems to be working. Try a resistor network here. I'm not seeing it try to spit little bits of solder out. It just may not be the best board for this. I don't know why it's struggling so bad. So either we've got a problem. There's nothing on that board I can unsolder. Switching power supply that had a huge explosion. I've stripped it of most of the usable stuff. Let's go after the opto isolators. Leads are a little bit bent on these. Actually got pads lifting here. So it's working well. You know, it's lifted those all out. There's some ferrite beads here. I normally reclaim those just because occasionally ferrites are handy. Happy with what I'm seeing so far. I can see that one of those pins did not unsolder. Still didn't. Got one pin that probably has copper pour on the other side, and it does. So now anybody after a it's one of those type X capacitors that likes to fail. I can't think of the name of it. Anyhow, I think we've basically proven it works. I'm happy with it. You know, it's got to be better than it was. It certainly seems to be. And I guess we'll wrap this one up here, and I will see you in a future video.